I am so excited to see all of these makes in the same place because throughout the year as I was doing this, I thought I was going so slow, but then suddenly to see I made all of this in my first year of sewing is so exciting to me.
Okay, I just need to show the sewing world the comparison between one of the first things I ever tried making and my last project of the year of 2024. This last project is a button up shirt with a collar, with buttons and buttonholes and pockets. It has a yoke and pleats. I never thought I would be able to do this. It has split side seams. I am so proud that I made this. But this is where I started. I just want new sewers to know that it is possible to get better. I just cut up one of my husband's old shirts and thought, oh, I'll make this for our baby. And I didn't even sew an opening. This literally is sewn shut because I didn't even think about having an opening on clothes. These are not right sides together because I didn't think about how right sides together makes an outfit. So the sides are completely unfinished. All the seams are completely unfinished. It just literally is cut out. I just want to give new sewers hope that there is progress. And this is also a message to myself for this next year. This is where I could be. The first thing that I made in 2024 was these pants. I did these off of a Jess Dang tutorial for her straight leg jeans. And so these are the ones that I made, mistakes included. I was not able to finish the top of them. I could not figure it out. I'm just showing this to be honest. I did wear them a few times actually with this sweater, and it covers the top of the jeans, so it wasn't really a big deal. But I definitely want to go back and figure out how to fix this, or maybe make them into overalls, see if that would be easier. Uh, I had them a little tight, and so um, I did have some ripping as I was wearing them. But these were really fun to make. I found this fabric. It was a curtain at Goodwill. And so for my first make, I was really proud of these. They were a little gapey on me. And so I added some elastic here. Didn't know what I was doing, but I'm still glad I made these because it's the first thing. And of course, I had to make my daughter a matching pair. She was only able to wear these maybe one time because I made them way too tight for her and way too long. She wore them when she was like 6 months old. These are the length for a much older kid. This top and skirt definitely is going to be one of my all-time favorite projects. I think just because of the fabric, and it's something I made early on and I wore to an event. I had it all planned out, and really my vision turned out with what I was hoping for. So it was a lot of fun to make. This is the Clara dress from Jess Dang. I ordered her pattern, or I thought I did, but I ended up ordering her wrong pattern. So that was my mistake. So what I had to do last minute was go back in and watch some of her YouTube videos to make a self-drafted piece. But it all came together. I appreciate all of her clear instructions. So something that I learned or heard in someone's video, I don't remember who it was to leave the selvage on if you want because it's your own make. And I did that in this dress. And I'm actually glad I did just because it gives, a homemade feel. And this is homemade. You can't actually see this when I'm wearing it, but I like knowing that it's in here because it's not something that you would find on a store bought project or store bought product. And then this is the maxi skirt with it. What I really like, of course, is that it does have pockets. And I like that it's two tiers and that the first tier is so high. I think it's pretty flattering. And it's also fun that I can wear these together as like a dress combo, or I can wear them separately. These three dresses are from Simplicity 8304. So I made this. This fabric was thrifted. All of it, this came from a thrifted shirt. I love these little heart details on the elbow. Same pattern, just different materials on this dress for my daughter. And then this one was quite early on in my sewing journey. I do really like the fabric, although I got intimidated by doing buttons on the back. And I ended up just doing a self-drafted tie method, which when it's on, it looks a little clumsy. But I'm glad that I tried, and it's definitely something that I will, moving forward, try to perfect, is that button method on the back. I used this Butterick 3846 to make 3 matching sets for my daughter. Here was the first one. These all have matching pants that came along with those, but it's just easier to show the top. So I thrifted this fabric. This fabric I bought from Joann's. And this one was fun because I was able to put in a pink lining. This was kind of my first experience with lining and doing sort of that burrito method. And that was a really good lesson for me. And then I made this sweet little top. And this fabric actually is from my grandma's stash. And that was really fun because now I have an outfit for my daughter with fabric that used to be my grandma's. This is the Peppermint Magazine wide strap maxi dress. So I found this pretty yellow fabric. I think it might be maybe a blend of linen and cotton at the thrift store. I ended up wearing this dress just a few times. I did like that I was able to learn French seams when I did this pattern, and I followed along on a tutorial that I will link in the description. One thing I do regret with this dress is I was not generous when it came to my seam allowance. And so my straps after one of my washes are actually starting to come undone a little bit here. So I don't know if I'll go back in and fix it or just wear it as is, but this was a fun one to make. This was one of my first true follow along with a pattern. And I self-drafted this dress for my daughter. This was my first attempt at doing any sort of neckline, and it's pretty rough, but overall, I mean, for a baby, for a toddler, it looks fine. And I'm excited to go back in and do more necklines this year and see if I can get better at those. Both of these materials were thrifted and self-drafted products. I did not make this one big enough, so again, another lesson for me, but it's my first year and I'm still excited that I tried this. Something that I need to remember is that when you put elastic or something that's going to be fitted, you have to cut the project larger so that it'll actually shrink onto the body in the right way. This cute little hoodie, I actually thrifted an adult version of this exact hoodie, and I ended up just cutting it apart and shrinking it down with my sewing machine so that I could make this for my daughter. For this cowgirl dress, I used this Simplicity 9273. It was kind of a nightmare to work with. A lot of it was my own fault. I didn't feel like the instructions were that amazing, but also I was trying to size this down because the fitting just wasn't quite right. And something I learned, which is a lesson I will carry on, is if you make an adjustment to part of the pattern, you have to adjust other parts of the pattern. And that was just not clicking in my head at the time that I was making this. And so it took me a lot longer than I thought. But I'm really glad it was my first denim project. And I'm happy with how it turned out. There was a cowgirl day at daycare. So it was really fun to make something special and personal for my daughter. This cute little combo is from Tiny Sewing Company. I am really happy with how this one turned out. This was my own fault, but I was really stingy with my seam allowance here, which I always regret. Beginner sewing problems, do not do that if you are new to sewing. And so some of it is starting to come off. I actually think I might replace this collar with something for Valentine's Day, but I love how this turned out. This was the Tiny Sewing Company sweater with oversized collar and the frill skirt. Unfortunately, I made the skirt really small and my daughter was only able to wear it one time, but I have the pattern and I'm planning to remake it. She actually wears the sweater a lot. And this was really fun. There was dinosaur day at daycare, and so I thought why not make her own little unique set, and I really plan to use this pattern a few more times this coming year. This red dress was a last minute, very fun project that I sewed up really quickly. This is actually self drafted with some thrifted fabric. Um, my husband and I were going to a weekend in Chicago, and I was, I think, 6 or 7 months pregnant at the time. So I wanted something cute to wear, but also something that was going to accommodate my baby belly. So I'll put a picture of what I looked like pregnant wearing this dress. It actually turned out really well. I'm pretty happy with it for just a really quick project that I sewed up. I think I started at like 8 or 9 p.m. the night before we left. Something I wish I would have done is sewed the straps with like doubled them over. I only did um, a single layer of fabric for the straps and tied it together. And while it was really easy at the time, it obviously isn't going to hold up as well. But if I ever do put it back on for breastfeeding, it's nice because I made the tie straps purposely to make it easy for that. I made these overalls from Butterick 5713. This has to be one of my favorite makes that I've done simply because of the fabric. I found this at a thrift store and it's like a heavy canvas. Um, and it just turned out really sweet. There's button snaps to close it, and I like how it was a pretty easy to follow along pattern. This was one of my last makes of the year. These are some dungarees, very long, as you can tell, from a blue and white gingham that I found at a thrift store. The things I like about this is that it's easy to tie on. I like the length and I like the way the pants fit on me. Um, this was kind of silly. The way that I found this pattern, it was in one of the Simply Sewing magazines, and I didn't have it at my local library, but I had access to it online. So I ended up taking parchment paper and tracing the pattern out. I would never recommend this to anyone. My husband repeatedly said, "Let me just go buy you a pattern." And so a lot of times I would lose the screen I was on, had to go back, had to hope for the best with the measurements. Shockingly, it actually fits me okay. I was pretty pregnant at the time of sewing this, and so I wasn't sure what my measurements really were going to be. Um, so there are some things I like about it. I think that in the future, I want to sew some overalls or dungarees that have more of a fitted waist. And I would like to alter these pockets a little bit, maybe bring them up or do maybe just one big chest pocket instead because I feel like they look a little bit weird with how low they are. But kind of fun. I'm glad that I tried it. I saw the idea of tracing a pattern from a computer screen on Instagram. Let me tell you, I will never be doing that again, but kudos to someone who can do that. My final make of the year was this button up. I used this Simplicity 6031 pattern. It's actually supposed to be a jumpsuit, but I just wanted a button up shirt, and this was the closest pattern that I had to something like that. It ended up being a lot tighter and more cropped than I wanted. My inspiration was a little more oversized, baggy shirt, and this ended up being what I came up with. But I was 8.5 months pregnant at the time of sewing this, and so I'm going to give myself a little break on taking measurements. I'm really happy with how it turned out overall. I got the buttons pretty even. I did my first collar, which I want to keep working on and perfecting. I love that the inside of the yoke here has the right side of the fabric on it, and I have a yoke here and pleats on the back. So overall, I'm actually really happy with this. I can see myself wearing it because I made it probably a lot. If I bought this at the store, I'm not sure that I would love the fit, but I'm definitely going to work this in to wear it frequently.
Thanks for following along with my first year sewing journey. I have a few things, a few videos that I lost. So I'll put a couple more pictures, some honorable mentions of the ones I made, including this lime green linen yellow skirt. The pattern was a pattern test that I had the pleasure of doing for Me Oh My Sewing, and I really loved how it turned out. I ended up gifting that skirt to my sister, but I want to make another one, maybe even in that lime green, which I would never usually pick for myself. But I had just so much fun this year, and I'm so excited to keep posting videos to hold myself accountable for sewing in this coming year. Follow along.